Good morning. I am sharing again with you from Mark's Gospel, and this time it is Mark's Gospel, chapter 4, verses 35 to 41. And it says, "That day when evening came, he said to his disciples, 'Let us go over to the other side.' Leaving the crowd behind, they took him along just as he was in the boat. There were also other boats with him. A furious squall came up, and the waves broke over the boat, so that it was nearly swamped. Jesus was in the stern, sleeping on a cushion. The disciples woke him and said to him, 'Teacher, don't you care if we drown?' He got up and rebuked the wind and said to the waves, 'Quiet, be still.' Then the wind died down, and it was completely calm. He said to his disciples, 'Why are you so afraid? Do you still have no faith?' They were terrified and asked each other, 'Who is this? Even the wind and the waves obey him.'" Jesus had spent a day of teaching from the boat on the Lake of Galilee, and he's saying to his disciples, "Let us cross over to the other side." The teaching was over, and Jesus was tired, just like you and me, and he was ready for a time of rest. But the Sea of Galilee was well known for its sudden violent storms, and the severity of this storm is shown by the reaction of the disciples. "We're drowning!" Several of the disciples were experienced fishermen on this very lake, and they were frightened and feared drowning in this storm. However, Jesus, yes, he was in the boat, in the stern, but what was he doing? Asleep on a pillow. Again, Jesus' true humanity is shown by this brief sleep on the boat. He became weary and sometimes caught a bit of sleep wherever he could. Just think of all the worries that might have kept Jesus awake. He could worry about the religious and political leaders who plotted against him. He could worry about his family who thought he was crazy. He could worry about the overwhelming crowds with their overwhelming needs. He could worry about the disciples he chose. He could worry about the future, because he knew what his destiny was. With all these things to worry about, Jesus wasn't worried. He slept in a rocking boat. So the Lord's sleep was not only the sleep of weariness, it was also the rest of faith. He slept in faith. The wind didn't wake him, the arguing of the disciples didn't wake him, and water splashing over the boat didn't wake him. But at the cry of his disciples, he instantly woke. It's Jesus who seems to be like a mother who sleeps through all kinds of noises, but at the slightest sound from her little baby, she is awake immediately. And he hears the disciples complaining, "Teacher, don't you care if we drown? Come on, wake up, get a bucket and start bailing out along with us because we are drowning." They were slightly, if not very, annoyed that Jesus was sleeping and apparently not helping them. Sometimes we may feel like the disciples, that Jesus appears to be sleeping and not helping. But as Spurgeon says, Jesus is asleep, but he only sleeps until we cry more loudly to him. When we get into such trouble that we cannot help ourselves and feel our entire dependence on him, then he will reveal his power. So Jesus got up and rebuked the wind and said to the waves, "Quiet, be still." Now, rebuke here is a very strong word, and it's the same terminology Jesus used when he rebuked and silenced demons. This was a spiritual battle as much as a weather crisis. Jesus addressed the raging storm as a force threatening to him and his disciples. It was a matter of life or death. Mark tells us other little boats were also with him. So when Jesus calmed the stormy Sea of Galilee, he didn't only just rescue himself and his disciples, but all the others in the little boats as well. But he did ask them this question: why are you so afraid? Do you still have no faith? It was not their fear of the storm that made Jesus say they had no faith. A small boat in a big storm is a scary place, and the initial fear wasn't wrong. But what the disciples chose to do with the fear made all the difference. And also, Jesus could say they had no faith because they also accused him of not caring for them. When we think Jesus doesn't care about us, it also shows we have no faith, because it means that we do not believe the truth about Jesus. It takes great faith to trust the sleeping Jesus, to know that he cares and works for us, even when it doesn't seem like it. But this is the kind of trust that God wants to build in each of us. One commentator said, "Let us not forget, the boat cannot go down. Jesus is on board." Amen. God bless you all. Have a great day. And remember, Jesus is on board and he's the captain of the ship. God bless you.